Hey, Gabriel Lake,
Hey, Gaybros Jose.
where are we today?
Today we are back. Well, I'm in my home in San Francisco. Where are you, Jose?
I am at home in Chicago.
Wow. This is the first time we've recorded in over a month, no?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I remember that we joked a couple of times about like, hey, when you listen to this, it's going to have been like almost half a year. In this case, probably we've been like 2, 3 weeks. So I think that is,
Will be much quicker.
yeah, probably this is, I don't know if it's going to be like the last one of 2021 or the first one of 2022.
So we took some time off because we had family visiting. There was Thanksgiving. You went to Cancun with your boyfriend. Good for you.
Yeah, I went to Cancun and then I was like just too busy, like just performing publicly in front of people. So
As part of the Name the Choir.
okay, I will give you like some advertisement. The Chicago Gay Men Choir, and if you're curious to see me again, I will be performing in May.
Well done. Well done. I can't wait to see videos of your last performance.
Well, if you had been here when it was not 30 degrees and it was like 60, you would have seen it.
Way too cold. Way too cold.
You guys are spoiled in California.
As Blake said, there are limits to your love. I won't go. I will not go when it's 10 degrees.
All right, that's fair. So what did we watch this time?
So we actually kind of didn't agree on whose pick this was, but we went back to the spreadsheet, and apparently I picked the Denis Villeneuve film, the 2013 film Prisoners, starring, who doesn't it star? Jake Gyllenhaal, Hugh Jackman, Melissa Leo, Paul Dano,
Viola Davis.
Viola Davis. I can't believe I mentioned her last. It's
Yeah.
an amazing cast. Amazing cast.
Yeah, the cast is like I was like just mind blown about like at this point of your career you could attract all of these people. That's good. That's pretty good.
Just a little interesting tidbit. Jake Gyllenhaal and Denis Villeneuve enjoyed working on Enemy so much that he cast Jake Gyllenhaal without an audition in this film. He just said, "Yep, can work on my next film."
I was wondering if actually Enemy was before or after this.
It was before. I looked up the IMDb page. And you could see, in my opinion, you could see some of the like
Visual language.
just you could see the synergy between Jake Gyllenhaal's performance, which is very different than Enemy, in this film, and I'm sure Denis Villeneuve just said, "Do whatever you want to do."
Okay, no, that's fair because he actually has like a couple of like visual tics, that is like they never explain with Jack Gyllenhaal. It's like it's like character building in a visual way, I guess.
There's more to add to that, but let's do a synopsis first.
Sure.
Pick.
Why did you pick it, Blake?
Honest to God, I don't remember picking this. I didn't believe you when you said I picked it. I had to go to the spreadsheet and I was like, oh, apparently.
I actually thought that I was the one that I picked it, but I remember that now after we talked that you were asking about like what should I pick, and I remember that after watching Dune Part 1, you were saying that it would be interesting to watch like more movies by Villeneuve, or maybe like going over the cinematography, and I suggested that is like maybe we should watch Prisoner. That is like one of the most popular movies that he has ever done, and it's on our list of to watch.
That's how I remember it as well. I said, hey, I don't have a pick for this week. Do you have something you're interested in? And you said Prisoners, and so I picked it as my pick. Regardless, this was my pick. Summarize this 2.5-hour movie.
Okay, I'm going to summarize like this 2.5 hours movie with just a single word: Zodiac, and I'm going to add a second word: lit. But just after leaving my co-host in shock, I'm going to be like just summarizing it probably. This is the story of two families that live in Pennsylvania, and it's around Thanksgiving, and their little daughters they go missing, and the parents are trying to figure out what happened with it. The police cannot like nail exactly who is responsible for the disappearing, but as they like dig a bit above the surface, they start finding that this area is like full with psychos and child molesters and serial killers, and they're at the same time the main suspect.
Let me correct you. The area is full of missing children, and there are all these vague theories that there might be a cult, there might be serial killers.
Yeah, there may be like serial killers and the likes, but also at the same time, they say that on the 10-mile radius, there were like 15 child molesters, because they say the number, and it's uncanny.
They do.
Like registered child molesters.
After we stop recording, I would like you to look up all the sex offenders in your neighborhood, and you will be shocked. It's not a tremendous amount in this film.
But I live in a city. I live in a big city. I live in a significantly larger city than San Francisco. You know, is that what we're saying is like in the middle of Pennsylvania, they have in a radius of 15 miles, they may have like 20 child molesters registered.
Yeah.
You know, that it was like, look, I get it, but you are like pushing here, you know, for this. So,
but also, rural Pennsylvania is like the Appalachians of like the North. It's super backwards.
Look, buddy, you tell me that of every single time that I go to visit to just scare me. If I'm like, oh, you're in NOLA, you're going to get shot. Oh, you're in Alaska, it's like you're going to get murdered. So, in any case, going back to the movie, it's like the movie opens with a Thanksgiving celebration. Well, like a bit of survivalist from Hugh Jackman teaching it to the song, and then we see like an RV like parked randomly in this kind of very suburban area, and we see like this couple that is like a Hugh Jackman. What is the name of the wife of the actress that plays the wife?
Maria Bello.
Melissa Mello.
Maria Bello.
Oh, Maria Bello. Okay, Marisa Leo is the other one. Maria Bello. They go to visit Viola Davis and Terrence Howard to their house, and they have like 2 kids each. And the little girls that they have is that they go back to Hugh Jackman's house, and along the way they just disappear. And the RV also disappears, and they start suspecting out of him, and it starts a thriller of who did what. Jake Gyllenhaal comes into a scene as the main detective for the case, for trying to detect who actually kidnapped the little girls, and we see their lives, how it evolves over several days while the little girls are missing.
How many days do you think it was?
Like 9 days total. I mean, I think that it was like I think that it was like probably at the 7th day or 8th day is when they find like the Viola Davis daughter.
I remember paying attention to that because I thought, holy shit, I feel like so much has happened. It doesn't feel like 6, 7, 8 days. Anyway.
So at some point it's like they kidnap. The police at the beginning, they actually just get the RV driver, that is Paul Dano, and they interrogate him, but they say that he has the IQ of a 10-year-old kid, and after doing like a polygraph test and everything, they let him go, but Hugh Jackman doesn't believe that he is completely innocent after attacking him at the police parking spot. And Paul Dino conveniently says something like, they didn't cry until I left them, while he didn't say absolutely anything to the police. So he decided to take justice on his hands and kidnap Paul Dino and just keep him like prisoner is the word, in an abandoned house that he owns. He tries to just make Viola Davis and Terrence Howard accomplices of this, and Terrence Howard plays along for a while. Viola Davis has like her moment that probably she thought that she was going to be earning an Oscar for, about like just letting him loose and just see he attacking everyone on the room. But in any case, they didn't get like too much information about it besides like, he's not Alex, he's not who we think that he is, but they don't say anything else. and then more investigation happens. Jack Gyllenhaal finds some other like child offenders in the area. He investigates more. He finds a priest that he used to be a child molester, I think, but he's not. Then why did he goes to the priest house?
I think you're right. Oh my god.
I think that he was like a registered child offender, and he goes there. Yeah. That's the part that it was finished. Okay, that also is a child offender, and that guy, called your nuts right now, dear listeners. He has a dead child offender in his basement because 80% of the population of this area is a child offender.
But that's why I didn't put two and two together about the father being a sex offender, because they find a man in the father's basement that he murdered because he was killing children. And so I thought, oh, he's a protector of children. But yeah, you're right. That's why Jake Gyllenhaal went to...
Why did he go otherwise, Because my boyfriend, I was with my boyfriend, he was like, oh, that's his father. It's like, no, he's calling him father. And he has like a lot of church images around.
So you watched this with...
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think that I should go like every single detail, because the part about like the other guy that they find that he chased down and then he was reading this book, I just feel it doesn't go anywhere. It's a bit more about like just challenging his perception about like, are everyone crazy and no one really killed these girls or what? Everything at the end is like Alex, the one that drives the RV, lives with his aunt, and his aunt is the one that kidnapped the little girls, and Alex is just being used as a way of attracting like little kids to his aunt, quote unquote, house. And at the end, we discovered that Alex is not even his nephew. Her nephew is just basically one of the kids that they kidnapped and they decided to, quote unquote, adopt. And it's like one of the missing cases that they see. And it's like basically the house where he was parked in front of is the house where he used to live when he was like little.
So I agree with you that I think going through all the details of the rest. So you probably gave a synopsis of what, 30 minutes almost? There's 2 more hours. It's a thriller. Let's not talk about like the details. But I did want to ask you, because I did not understand the person of interest that shoots himself in the head in the police interrogation room.
Yeah.
How is he connected to Alex? And
in no way. It's in no way. That's the part. Look, I'm going to say something. You already told me before the podcast how you feel about this movie. I'm going to say something. I think that this is an extremely entertaining movie. It's a movie that is 2 hours and a half. It didn't feel like 2 hours and a half. It feels like, oh my God, it's a thriller, like well put together, But all that part about like the guy that draws the mazes and he actually runs away and he actually goes to the houses of both of the parents for stealing clothes, it just feels like it doesn't add anything to this story. You could have removed it like altogether, the story would have been the same. But there is no cult.
When Melissa Leo is telling Jake Gyllenhaal, oh, my husband used to keep snakes, and Alex was apparently bitten by a snake. But then they go to that guy's house and he has all the bloody clothing with snakes.
Because exactly what they were saying is that they find like this book that it was written, from studies of serial killers from the FBI. And it's like what they were saying. There is a bit of commentary about like, we have the potential of become as crazy as the stuff that we read and we feel passionate about. So please, Blake, don't become a serial killer. I know that you love serial killers. Please don't do it.
I watch a lot of serial killer documentaries.
So please don't do it. Don't become what you read about or what you feel passionate about.
Okay, so I already told you how I feel about the film.
But the audience doesn't know how you feel.
I fucking love this movie. I love it so much. And I remember... I didn't remember watching this film, and I don't think I watched it all the way through, but when I started watching it this time, I thought, no, I've seen all these scenes. I know what's happening. I'm very confident I did not finish it, probably because I turned it off when I thought, okay, this film's not for me. But this time, because I had to watch it, I just kept, like, at certain points I had to pause it, and I was like, there's still 90 minutes left. There's still 45 minutes left. Like, I was so excited to just keep watching whatever Denis Villeneuve wanted to show me. I was just blown away.
So you were on for the roller coaster ride.
100%. But
Okay.
also, so I read a tremendous amount about the symbolism in this movie, and Denis Villeneuve absolutely loves mazes, and mazes play a huge part in this film. But it's a lot about symbolism. Mazes in mythology are often considered prisons. I know it's super cliche, but each of these characters are so
Prisoners of themselves.
of whatever, and I just found all the character details fascinating. I mean, there's so many details that we can't really explain them, but the fact that Keller, Hugh Jackman's character, Keller means basement in German. The tattoos on Jake Gyllenhaal's hands say maze in Finnish. The entire film is imitating a Finnish mythological story, which actually imitates in Norse mythology. Like, there's just so much here to unravel that it just blew my mind, and it was compelling, like super compelling until the very end. I found the last
20 minutes.
Yeah, I found it like, okay, you're just trying to make my heart like beat super fast, and like, no, just end the story. And
Did
I
you
don't know
like
if this is...
what?
Tell me.
I was going to be asking you, is like, did you like the resolution, the last
30 seconds?
Yeah. Compelling?
Initially, no, I didn't like it. I thought, okay, I don't need resolution. Like, I'm not that guy that's like, well, you didn't tell me how every, character story wraps up. But I was like, no, I need to know if this character gets saved. I feel like we shouldn't give spoilers in this. I don't know why, because it's like 9 years old.
I think that he insinuated like part of the resolution earlier about like who was the bad guy.
Right, but it's fairly compelling, that last, like, what's gonna happen is I don't want to spoil anything. It pissed me off until I watched a YouTube commentary where they basically explained their thought, their like opinion was that that's the best thing the filmmakers could have ever done, because you walk away from this film just thinking what happened, like, and you make your own, like.
But you know what happened. The only thing that is left in the air is like if one character just discovers another character.
Yeah, but it's more than that. It's like, will that character go to jail? Is he going to lose his family? Will he?
Does it matter? Does it matter that much? That part?
It matters to me. I mean, you know that Hugh Jackman was Jesus, right? Like, he was supposed to be Jesus. He was a fucking carpenter, and so
he's a fucking survivalist. Like, he has like even like dynamite in his basement.
No, he had lye, which you can just buy at
No,
Home Depot.
no. He had more than lye. He actually had explosives in his basement.
What explosives?
Come on, didn't you see like the boxes, like the metal boxes that they're like the ones that they usually have like a dynamite, and other explosives like halagans?
No, that's how freeze-dried food comes from the American military. That was just supposed to be like food that would last forever.
Oh.
There were no explosives. Otherwise, Jake Gyllenhaal's character, who's named Loki after Norse mythology.
I mean, at that point when they actually say Loki for the first time, he's like, my boyfriend was Loki. He's like, yeah, I guess that some parents are going to be like just calling their kids the god of mischief. It's like, who the fuck would do that?
His last name.
It doesn't really matter. It's like, it's just insane. It's like no one is called that in anywhere.
I honestly had the question: was this made before or after Thor? Because if it was before Thor, I could.
You mean like Norse mythology? So like 3rd century or 5th century?
No. Prisoners, because the majority of the American public wasn't aware who Loki was until Thor. Let's not deny that. But after Thor came out, everyone's like, Loki.
I have a better question for you. Was this movie made before or after Zodiac? It was after. Yeah. Way after. And,
but you think this is like a remake of Zodiac?
Oh, this is like the cheap version of Zodiac.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
Zodiac. Wait a second. Are you telling me that you didn't have any kind of deja vu feeling when you were seeing this about like the building up of fear scenes that you see here, about like just looking at random things and the cinematography about like I'm going to be like fixating on this and just trying to make something normal, making you feel uncomfortable about it? Because Zodiac is filled with those, and this movie too. I think that this movie, I'm not going to say if I like it or not yet, but this movie is like filled out with David Fincher inspirations.
I take umbrage with that statement, and I will tell you why. Because I feel like Denis Villeneuve and Fincher have such... They are similar, but they're distinctive, 100%. And yes, Zodiac was a thriller, but Zodiac was a film about a serial killer. This film was about a very religious man who was thrown, I don't know, complications, hindrances in his life, and we watch him suffer and do things that make him feel pain, but because he believes in the greater good, or maybe less than the greater good.
It's not the greater good, it's the personal good.
Ends justify the means. That's what this film was about. The ends justify the means, in Hugh Jackman's character's opinion. Zodiac wasn't about any of that. It was just a hunt for a killer. This was watching Hugh Jackman's character do things that made him feel devastated to try and save his family.
But Hugh Jackman is not the central piece of this movie. I would actually say that it's like Jake Gyllenhaal in maybe like more time in the screen than Hugh Jackman.
They may have more screen time, but I would argue Hugh Jackman is the centerpiece of this film.
Personally, I didn't see like too much of character development or any kind of just really focus on any kind of aspects of Hugh Jackman character that it make him feel more than a one-dimensional character.
I would also disagree with you on that, respectfully, of course.
No, it's absolutely fine.
But I mean, we find out a lot about his character. We understand that he is a prisoner, quote unquote, of his father's suicide, and his father left him this building, an apartment building that he clearly can't deal with. Yes, there's not a lot of spoken word about who he is, but we see him praying in his car. He has crucifixes. We understand, they talk about his alcoholism. We understand that he has a very, very dark past, and all he wants to do now is protect his family. He wasn't able to do it, and we spend the last 2 hours of the film watching him do whatever is required, even if it like kills him inside. And you can tell what he does to Paul Dano's character kills him inside. We watch him make those sacrifices.
How do we see that he's killing him, doing what he does?
Because he's constantly praying outside of like Paul Dano's prison.
But he keeps doing it.
That's what I'm saying, is that he understands that what he's doing is like diametrically opposed to his beliefs, but he's willing to do it to try and save his daughter.
Maybe there's a bit more of limitation on Hugh Jackman, but I don't see any kind of nuance like that. I just think that is that he's just convinced about like violence is a completely acceptable medium for actually defending his family. When actually Viola Davis and Terrence Howard, they're like the counterpart about like, no, the end doesn't justify like the mediums that you're taking.
I see what you say, but I think the number of times we watch Hugh Jackman beg Paul Dano, why are you making me do this? Don't make me do this.
Viola Davis does like way more in a 5-minute scene.
Yeah, but Viola Davis isn't like taking the drastic steps that like contradict her internal beliefs. Hugh Jackman...
I think there is a bit more of a look. I think that actually Hugh Jackman shows way more of a conviction about, as long as I believe on the end, the means doesn't matter at all. Is that Viola Davis is like willing to actually let him free. There is something that Hugh Jackman, if he actually had that kind of religious belief, should be more willing to. and he doesn't. I think that for me is that it's a bit more of the violent American average guy. That is that you may be religious, you may be whatever, but it's that you are like just dominated by the inherent violence of the American reality. And he's a survivalist at the same time.
I respect your reading of it, but I completely disagree. They clearly showed him to be extremely religious.
Extremely?
I mean, how many adult American men do you know that gets on their knees and prays daily?
When they're in front of this.
That's fair. So you met a couple. Well, your boyfriend, so you haven't seen that many Americans.
Oh, I've only been dating for some months now. But what I'm saying is like, we don't see him like doing too much of a religious stuff. It's like he's not a nut job.
No, I disagree with that again. I mean, in the opening scene where he's like talking to his son, he's talking to him in a very religious manner. There's the crucifix. He's always praying. He talks about not drinking. Yes, he's a survivor. What do they call them?
Survivalists, no?
No, what are preppers? They call them preppers, where he like buys a ton of shit for preparing for the end of time. So his basement is full of like bottled water and food and all the things you would need in an emergency. For me, the religious like representation was there. I feel like Denis Villeneuve established that very clearly, and the rest of the film was about watching him betray his own beliefs for something he valued more than his religion.
Look, if it was like his beliefs and they were so strong, I've never seen any movie like presenting something in such a straightforward kind of way. It's like he didn't have any kind of moment of, like doubt or anything. He was like just straight for it. It's like it was basically like he was needing someone to guilt about like his disappearance.
But he like prayed endlessly throughout the film.
But it doesn't matter if he actually prayed. It's like when they actually let Alex out, is that he went just straight ahead. He almost like just punched Jake Gyllenhaal the first time that he met him in the face, because they were saying that it's like, I may have to let him go because we don't have any kind of proof. It's like, no, I need to have a guilty party for this. And it was not a religious at all. That's the point that I feel is that there may be like some kind of side, but the script is not actually just building up a kind of nuance.
I see what you say, but for me, all of that was showing how this, again, conservative religious man was willing to sacrifice his own moral beliefs to try and save his family. That's what I think was the exciting thing to watch.
But for me, is that those moral beliefs, they were never like really developed. There's like, for me, they were like a bit more of an anecdotal thing to just present in the movie. They were not really like, hey, these are like your North Star. He is not like a person that he would have like just a Jesus Christ that he would just kissing every single time that he goes in there. I believe that the father that is a child molester, a registered child offender, he may be more religious, but still I don't see anything out of it. I see like a lot of anecdotal stuff, but I don't see like full-fledged characters in this movie. I see a thriller. I see like a TV film thriller out of this.
I can see that from like Maria Bello's character was, I think, one of the weakest.
Oh yeah,
I think
by far.
Davis was kind of weak, but the fact that she's so fucking talented that she steals every scene that she's in makes me forget that we know nothing about her. Terrence Howard was kind of there to look like a weakling, not willing to go the extra mile to save his kid.
Yeah, but it's a Viola Davis adjustable piece, like that is scene that she has in the house when she actually leaves Alex loose. I was telling my boyfriend that he watched Doubt not too long ago. I had a feeling that Viola Davis was trying to challenge like the same energy and just think, am I going to be nominated by this scene that it only lasts like 30 seconds? I mean, I did it with a scene that it was 2 minutes, so can I be that?
Tell me more specifically what scene you're talking about, because there's one scene of hers that I feel the same way about, but it wasn't in a house.
Oh, it was like when she goes to the house and Alex is like just still with the handcuff to the sink. Yeah. And she's like, no, I want to believe you. I want to believe you, so I'm going to be letting you loose.
So for me, the scene that felt exactly like that was when she and Terrence Howard drive back to their home, and she tells Terrence Howard, "Don't stop him. We're not going to help him, but let him do what he needs to do."
But that's 2 sentences.
The Oscar award-winning face that she has, but it's so good.
No, it's amazing. It's like she's incredibly talented, you know, and I wish that I could see her like in way more things, you know. But this one just felt like, look, you're doing the most that you can with this script, you know. And it's like you're like trying to do exactly the same thing that you did with Doubt. But Doubt was, even if it was like just only like 90 minutes movie, it was like a full-fledged movie. This is like a by-the-book thriller.
Okay, so I understand everything that you're saying, but you cannot say this is a by-the-book thriller. Compare any thriller, actual by-the-book thriller, and tell me that this is not a superior film.
I think the cinematography is good. It's like pretty good. There are a couple of scenes that I love when the camera is like just sticking into something that is like completely random, you know, and it's like just building up towards like I feel uncomfortable seeing this. But when I think about the characters, when I think about like, and I was trying to actually compare is that this movie is in between Enemy that I love and Arrival that I really, really like. And just give me something out of the way. I like this movie. I think that it was like really entertaining, that it was like 2 hours and a half that I couldn't, you know, like stare away. It's like I just want to see what else is going to be like happening. But when I compare with the other 2 movies, that is Enemy and Arrival, I think that it didn't elevate the characters, and I think that it didn't elevate the story. It was like just such a generic thriller that I could have watched, not in Hallmark TV, but in any TV show, in any TV movie.
You're insane, but we'll let that go.
Sure.
Did you feel like there was any similarity between this film and The Game by David Fincher?
Well, yes, because they try to play quite a bit with like, is this real? Is this not? Is this Alex guilty? Oh no, maybe it's not. But it's like that's like one of the recipes for a good thriller, you know, about like just trying to challenge the audience into what do you think, what you are like just like trying to get out of this. And even I asked my boyfriend when we were watching the movie and we saw Hugh Jackman attacking this guy in the parking of the police station. He said, when we hear, he said, oh, they didn't cry until I left it. I told him, like, do you think that that's exactly what he heard? Or do you think that it was an unreliable narrator kind of effect? And he was like,
was your opinion?
my opinion was like, I wanted to give more credit this movie that it deserved. And his opinion was like, what? We heard that. It's like, why would we actually just playing something else? And he was absolutely right. He's like, why trying to read like deeper into this? So, dear audience, there was a bit of a technical problem, a technical difficulty, and we had to actually split our podcast in not 2 different recordings, but in 2 different days. We remember more or less where we were talking, I think, maybe.
I remember. I mean, I was right, you were wrong. This is an elevated film for me. For you, it's not.
For me, it's an entertaining thriller, you know, like pretty well made, but it's an entertaining thriller from someone that watched Zodiac way too many times.
But you would honestly say, right, that this is elevated for a thriller?
Let's say, I mean, what is like the baseline of a thriller? Basic Instinct, The Cape of Fear.
Basic Instinct, Cape Fear. I don't know. I don't think we watch L. L is a thriller. Would you say this is better than L?
I would say that this is better than L.
Fantastic.
I could say, yeah, but that's a good thriller to actually just bring up. If this is a good David Fincher thriller, if this is Seven or The Usual Suspects, for example, I could say probably not.
That's a good comparison. Would you say this is the same as Seven or worse than Seven?
I think this is worse than 7.
I think this is one of the films that we disagree the most on, but it's fine. Like, I get what you're. It's a thriller. It's not that elevated, but I would say, and I'm sorry about my puppy. I think it's a very good film.
No, I'm not saying that it's bad by any means. Is that there are degrees, on this. Now, didn't you find like a bit ridiculous? And I think that I already asked you this the other day, but they have like 20 child molesters in a 10-mile circles, in a suburban area.
I mean, I see what you were saying, and it didn't seem that absurd to me when I watched the film, but the way they explain it is actually, it makes sense. Like, if I were to search the sex offender registry here in San Francisco, there would be hundreds of people within a 1-mile radius.
But you were like just living in an extremely densely populated area. These guys are living in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania.
That's true, but if you go back to the film, the numbers that they mention, I think Jake Gyllenhaal said, well, there are 9 sex offenders in a 10-mile radius. Like, that just makes sense anywhere in America. There's a lot of sex offenders in America.
Okay, and one of them is a priest that actually murdered another child offender.
I don't know the specifics about my neighborhood sex offenders.
Okay, that's true. Maybe we should actually do that as a homework, like checking like in a 1-mile radius how many child offenders are there on the registry, and then just look them up on Facebook or in LinkedIn for knowing what they do for a living.
And see who they are.
Should we go over the questions? I think that we didn't spoil it completely, no?
I think we left the ending a little bit vague. I mean, the film is 8 years old, but it's good. Like, if you haven't seen it, you should go see it and not know how it ends. So I think we tried to keep the ending a little bit vague.
Yeah, I would say that actually, when I finished watching it, I said that I was super entertained by these 2 hours and 10 minutes or whatever it was. I couldn't actually look away. I wasn't like just like checking my phone or anything. I was like super engaged with it. But when that all the resolution just came to a conclusion, I just felt this. I don't know. I mean, I had a good time watching it, but maybe we should go over the questions because I will actually just talk about several of them if I finish
just
my
one thing before we start the questions. What did you think of literally the last 30 seconds?
I feel like a bit stupid. Because the thing is, like, what does it change? It's like, if you had removed it, is that you maybe think that he's gone, quote unquote. We're not going to say like who or whatever, that he's gone. Everyone has like their own story about like what happened with that, but whatever. It's like no one suspects that person as a guilty party or anything. It's just like he disappeared. Now, like that tension moment about like hearing that noise and the other character like just looking around like, am I hearing something? No, I'm imagining. It's like, no, I'm hearing something. No, I'm imagining. No, I'm imagining it. It felt like so superfluous, so drag. So it's like, look, or he fights him or not. That's it. There are the 2 options.
So I didn't like the ending, and then I watched some YouTube analysis of that last 30 seconds, and they spoke about how it was kind of genius by the director because he and the writers, of course, basically ensured that everyone who saw that film would be thinking about it pretty consistently after they left the theater. And I did too. I was upset that I didn't get the resolution I wanted, but then like I applied all of my projections about, was he found? Did he die? Did he go to prison? So I actually enjoyed it because of how much it made me think about the film.
But the thing is, like, if they hadn't had that last scene, it's like it could have. What would have changed? I mean, I left like the movie about like, hey, I would have thought exactly the same questions without that scene.
Well, would you have the same questions if they just explained what happened and they're like, oh, they found Hugh?
But they didn't. They didn't explain it either. It's like they left it almost the same in the air. It's like you assume at that point that they're going to find him. Let's not say who, what character. But at the same time, it's like, and this, I would have thought exactly the same. There was like the sentence that I was expecting, like when they were saying that we haven't found him, and someone says like, he was a good man. I was saying exactly what like, we didn't find him. He's like, well, maybe he was abusive and a bit of an asshole, alcoholic, but he was a good man.
My God, I think this is one of the films that you and I have had pretty significant different opinions. And I respect everything you say. I get it.
Look, I'm being more critical than you. I'm being more critical. I see that you like it like significantly more. For me, and like just poking a bit of it about like, look, if you're a thriller, doing a good thriller with very few gaps, with very few inconsistencies, is really hard. Like really, really, really hard. That's the reason why I think that Zodiac is a good movie, because it's true they have a couple of them, seriously. But most of them is like just extremely enthralling. And that's the reason why I think that Fincher elevates thrillers, because he knows how to put it on the screen.
And you would say Denis Villeneuve doesn't?
I would say that this guy, Fincher, has like more experience, and he has like a bit more of a clinic eye about like how to treat like the characters more than Villeneuve.
But that wasn't the question. You don't think Denis Villeneuve elevates thrillers?
Would you consider Enemy a thriller?
Yeah, 100%.
It's a different style, man. It's a different style. It's a different style. I don't think that this one is elevated. You know that. But that's the thing is, like, as Enemy, I do think that is elevated, but I wouldn't consider like a normal thriller, because it's a bit more of a very inner mind thriller.
So let me just ask one more question before we get to our questions. Do you think David Fincher is a better director than Denis Villeneuve?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, without a shadow of a doubt.
I would agree with that, actually.
Yeah.
But this movie is exceptional.
There is nothing wrong with that, and I also think that David Fincher has a more solid visual language than Villeneuve. More consistent across the movies and a bit more like to the point about like, I know how to make you feel.
I'm actually not going anywhere and doing anything this evening, and I think I'm going to watch Zodiac just to compare.
I'm jealous. Okay, let's go over the questions. So, dear Blake, could you watch Prisoners again?
Yes, not soon, but yes, 100%.
Yeah, my answer is no. My answer is no, but doesn't mean, look, if it actually is on the screen or whatever, I'm not going to be like going an extra mile for not watching it. But the feeling that I had is like it's a bit more like a castle made of cars. You put every single thing, and when you actually see it, it's like, okay, that's good. But when they when they connected all the points, I just feel that this has been pretty weak. It has been a bit more of a part, because the part with the guy that runs away, when they're like just turning sort of like in front of the house, when they are like just turning the candles on and the guy runs away, is that all that part is that you could remove it from the movie and you could save like 30 minutes of it. It's engaging to watch it, but it's like it doesn't progress the story in any kind of way. It's just for making a point. It's like there's a lot of crazy people.
So I agree with you in the sense that I do feel like it could be shorter, but I was also thrilled about how many minutes were left in the film. So I just wanted to be in this world as much as possible, but yes, it could have been much, much shorter.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't disagree with you. It's enjoyable to watch, but then when you actually look at the full picture, when everything is in place, when Villeneuve just finished like putting all the cards on the table, I just feel it's like, okay, this is not. Oh my God, what was the name of that movie with Kate Blanchett?
Notes on a Scandal? I was just going to ask you about that. Do you think this is better than Notes on a Scandal?
Yes, it is better than Notes on a Scandal. But no much better. I mean, the thing is that it has a similar effect to me. That is like, now that I see all the cards on the table, I just feel like I've been blindfolded in a roller coaster. It's almost like just riding a Space Mountain. The Space Mountain is probably one of the shittiest roller coasters that exist on the face of the earth. But as you are not seeing anything at all, it was like, oh my God, what is going to be like happening next? It's like, well, when you actually are done with it, it's like, well, it wasn't that exciting, was it?
I haven't been on Space Mountain since I was 8, and I remember it being the greatest ride of all time. So we can't talk about this.
Okay, I mean, let's be honest. You have ridden many other things since then that you have enjoyed more.
Many other things, many better, for sure.
Exactly. But that's the reason that I don't think I like it. I have like a blast watching it, you know. But at the same time, at the end, it just left me like, oh, okay, I like it, but no, I already know, you know, knowing everything that is going to be like happening is like, I think that is going to detract quite a bit from the experience.
And that's why you won't rewatch it.
Yeah.
Those are good points.
There is like just 1 second. For example, if I think in a Shyamalan movie like The Sixth Sense, that I think that is a good movie, I will watch it a second time about like knowing that it's like, oh, this is the twist, you know, and I will watch it even a third time, you know, because I just feel like the twist is important, or the Fight Club, the twist is important, but there is like so much more to it. There is a bit more of an atmosphere that is built around, and this one I just had the feeling that is like most of that atmosphere is based on that car that is holding like close to him.
In that regard, yes, the twist here is less. It's not the twist. It's, yes, those films that you mentioned are better and more rewatchable, 100%.
Yeah, and that's the part that I feel is like, I don't know if knowing all of this I will go back into a 2 hours and 20 minutes movie.
Well, that's why I said I wouldn't rewatch it soon, but like in 5 years, I would forget everything about this film and I would watch it and I'd be like, this is amazing.
Okay, 5 years, setting the calendar alarm. Second question, would you recommend it?
Yes, and this one actually surprises me because, as I mentioned before, I did at least start to watch this film in the past, and I was like, no, this is not for me, this is not for anyone I know, but now I would recommend it. This is a great thriller.
Do you remember why did you feel that it was not for you?
I think I turned it off when Hugh Jackman started to torture Paul Dano, and I was like, this is just miserable. Like, missing kids, miserable families. I know you think this is my type of film, but...
Do you like funny games?
Yes, but there wasn't enough existential dread in this. It was just like sad little kids went missing, and then I think about my niece, and I'm like, this isn't fun.
Okay. For me, I would recommend it. I think that is like just a standard thriller. Or I don't know if I would recommend it to my parents. No, what I mean,
it's above average thriller.
Okay, it's a pop average thriller, but what I'm saying is like if someone tells me I like thrillers, is like this I would want to recommend.
Yeah.
You know, is that I don't feel like there is anything too gruesome for actually just feeling like this cannot be recommended to a specific sensitivity.
So would you recommend this to your parents?
That's what I was thinking, and I think that my answer could be yes. I think they are like child molesters, but we don't see any kind of child molestation.
But what about the brutality with Paul Dano and his face? Oh God, his face.
The face, there was like a lot of makeup there. That's true.
Yeah.
And Viola Davis trying to win an Oscar on those 2 minutes. But yeah, that's a different thing. I love her in Doubt. I think that she's amazing in Doubt.
Did we ever the exact same performance in Doubt?
It's exactly the same role and everything. Yeah, I was just checking if Doubt was on the list. Yeah. Do you think that you will remember it?
Honestly, no. So when I had started watching it, and I don't remember when, I had completely forgotten about the creepy guy that shops and buys children's clothing. I'd completely forgotten that. I'm not going to remember any of the details. None.
Because that part doesn't matter to the story. This is what I was telling you earlier. You can remove it altogether. But I agree with you. I think that I'm not going to be remembering it. I think that if I start watching it, things are going to start connecting, you know? But probably not from the get-go. It's not going to be you as...
I think I'll forget this film, the details of this film, in the same way that I cannot remember the details of the game, Light of Adventure. And that doesn't mean it's not good. It's just like there's so many twists and turns that you can't remember.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And it's interesting. Sometimes I had the feeling, how do you say, when you read something for the first time, it's like everything is like a bit more of a, or watch something for the first time, everything is a bit of a cloud. It's like a nebulous entity. But when you watch it several times, you can start identifying like the specific acts. You know about like this happens first, this happened first, this happened then, this happened. They are like just 5 or 10 minutes of like things. So next question was, is there anything artistic about it?
I would argue that yes, the metaphors, everything that related to mazes, the mood, the acting, yeah, I think this is a very artistic film.
I would say that there was one specific type of take that he does like multiple times, that is like just focusing on something a bit random, but innocuous, like harmless, like the trunk of a tree. And it would be like just zooming like pretty slowly with a music that is a bit more disturbing, and it created a bit of an uneasy feeling about it. You know who it reminds me to?
Who?
David Lynch.
Oh wow, I can see that very specifically from the opening credits to Twin Peaks. Yeah.
Yeah, about like I'm going to be like presenting you something that it looks like completely normal, but just building some kind of creepiness to it. So like Blue Velvet and the likes, about like everything is normal, or maybe it's not.
Well, you know that David Lynch has said that his inspiration to create Twin Peaks was that he was in the Pacific Northwest and he was inspired by the wind going through the forest.
Nice. Yeah.
So maybe Denis Villeneuve is just as inspired by trees as David Lynch.
Yeah. But I think, albeit I still don't think that there is like a clear visual style for Villeneuve. I love Enemy. I like this movie. I feel like there is no like too much consistency across his movies for actually just watching a random movie and say like, this is going to be Villeneuve. He's good, but there is not a style. But it's good. It's artistically has been good.
I agree. If you compare like Enemy, Arrival, Dune, Prisoners, it's kind of all over the place in a good way, but there's not a distinctive style.
Yeah, but all of them have a style.
Yes, I think he's good. He's a good director.
I think there is a bit more like with Dune and Arrival and Blade Runner 2049. He's a bit more like clean in style, but without like getting too surgical as David Fincher.
I agree.
Yeah. Next question: is this a timeless piece?
I would say yes. There's nothing that like roots it in the current time. The themes it explores, it's timeless. Yes, it's timeless.
Yeah. On that one, I agree completely. I think that there is nothing there that is going to be aging in a poor kind of way. It's just the story looks like completely, like normal from the perspective of these parents that they lose their kids, they get kidnapped, and they're going to be like just trying to take justice on their hands because they don't feel supportive. I'm pretty sure that there are hundreds of movies just from decades ago that there are similar stories. So
yep, I agree.
Would you turn this into a TV show? Into a limited TV show for HBO?
Honestly, yes. What was that? Maybe 10 years ago, there was a film that was inspired by a European television show called it was about a girl that was kidnapped. It was very dark, very atmospheric.
True Detective?
No, it was way before that. It actually starred a woman who went to my college. What was it? Anyway, yes, I could absolutely see this being like a 6-episode series, 100%.
Yeah, I think so, especially like given that there are parts that don't go anywhere. Those parts of not going anywhere, they can work better in a TV show than in a movie.
Like I would have loved to have more explanation about what the creepy guy with the locked boxes full of snakes and bloody clothing, like explain to me who that was and why he was important.
Well, I mean, the thing is that they explain you at least why he did it.
Yeah, but I would have loved to have seen more backstory, and if that had been like accomplished through 6 hours of an AMC miniseries, I'll watch it.
No, that's fair. So what you want is Mindhunter.
Yeah. Yes. That's a perfect description. Yes. But better than Mindhunter.
Mindhunter is
Better
not.
than Mindhunter season 2.
Okay. Because the first one, I think that is a pretty good first season. Yeah. The second one is more human drama. Do you think this movie could have been better?
Absolutely not.
This is a hard one for me. I'm going to say maybe.
All right.
But I'm going to say maybe. Let me just explain it. And I mentioned it earlier. It's super enjoyable, and it's 2 hours and something. There is a really big merit on just being able to just get our attention span for over 2 hours. There is no doubt on that. And
it was crazy compelling. Like up until the last 10 minutes pissed me off a little bit because it was like, will they, won't they? But overall, I just wanted to be in this world. I wanted to be in this world as long as possible.
You know something funny? The following day, I was thinking, what am I going to be watching? And I was thinking, I would like to keep watching a bit more of what I was watching yesterday. What was it? Oh, it was Prisioners. That was a movie. And I just felt I want to keep watching something like that, that kind of drama and that kind of roller coaster, but at the same time, when I see that part of the story, that arc with the guy with the snakes and everything, I just, why did you do this to me? It's like it wasn't an enjoyable ride, but this was not a TV show,
I understand completely what you're saying, and it surprised me that I like this film so much that I suggested we watch Sekiro, because I don't like movies about drug cartels, and I was like, I want to stay in this fucked up world that Denis Villeneuve creates. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So for me, it's a maybe. It's a bit more that I would remove that part, but I don't think that it would have benefit the movie. But everything else is I would leave it like that. I mean, more like just the twists and turns that they were thinking is they are okay. The only problem is they are not. The rest of the movie is not strong enough for actually just sustain once that the whole thing. After everything unravels, is nah, okay. All right. Should we score this?
We should.
So this was your pick. So I'm going to have to score it. My score, I told you the other day, and I'm going to keep it 7.5.
And do you want to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to add something that is I criticize this because I think that doing a good thriller is pretty hard, and I don't want good movies get away with I was pretty good. I said, yeah, you were good, but you were not exceptional.
So my score is an 8.5, which is 1 point above a good movie. I think for me, this was elevated cinema, and if I were to go to the theater today and see Prisoners, I would say this is better than most things out there.
Well, but right now, I just think we come from a pandemic. There is not too much. It's not fair. It's not fair. So you have to compare this with today. Tonight is the opening night for West Side Story.
Oh, dear Lord.
So you could be like just having to decide between like, do I watch a Steven Spielberg remake of a movie by Sondheim? Well, based on a movie by Sondheim from the 50s or 70s. Well, the music from him, not the lyrics, if I remember correctly. Or do I watch a thriller with Jake Gyllenhaal?
The answer is always Jake Gyllenhaal. Always.
Yeah. So anything else to say about Prisoners?
No, just that I was pleasantly surprised at how much I really liked the film. Everything you said, I get, and you're completely right. But for me, they weren't issues or problems.
Yeah.
I just really like this film. That's it.
No, that's great. I mean, that's amazing. Because at the end of the day, it's about how the movie makes you feel. It's not only about the technical aspects or the gaps that you can point to. Is that you can look past them. For me, it was it's enjoyable, but it was a bit more like the kind of, don't take this the wrong way, but it was a bit more like the empty calories feeling about I ate this, that this was delicious, and nothing remains with me.
Well, I can't argue with that. I mean, that's probably true, but I've never complained after eating a really good donut. I'm always I would have another donut.
That's fair. That's fair. So, as this was your pick for next one, we discussed like quite a bit about like what to watch, and I felt surprised that we have like 136 episodes plus bonus episodes, and we didn't watch like one of my favorite movies when I was growing up, and it's Magnolia. Edward.
It's what?
It's Edward. I was going to be like joking with Magnolia. Yeah, by Tim Burton. But it's funny. I was actually talking with my girlfriend about this. That is, at the beginning, we were recommending always movies that we were like, I cannot believe that you haven't watched this. You have good taste. I want you to watch this and just hear your opinion. And I remember that movie for me, like when people would be like, I don't know what to watch. And it was like, oh, I just watched it. I say, oh, yeah, I never watched it. Who is this from? And I would be like, just mind blown about like, you don't know anything about like the best Tim Burton movie, you know? But it was like a different time. I really, really like Tim Burton back then.
Well, I'm excited to watch it. I've never seen it. I've heard great things about it. We had a long discussion the other day about Tim Burton, so I'm looking forward.
Let's see where it goes. To all the audience out there, thank you so much for putting up with all the technical difficulties that we had.
And wash your hands and keep wearing that face mask. Omicron is no joke.
Bye.